Let's do this. Good morning, and welcome to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is the show where we talk about everything.
What the hell?
Well, almost. From today's news, culture, entertainment, real life, real people, and the stories everybody's talking about. And no, we don't do it in some tiny glass bubble. We do it the only way we know how. Real and completely unleashed.
Fire the hole, fire the hole, fire the hole.
So lean in and let's go right now.
Give me a hell yeah.
Good morning. 6:31 in the morning. It is Wednesday, July 15th. The year is 2026. My name is Daryl. That's right, Daryl Arnold. The name of the show, Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold on a Wednesday, hump day, July 15th, middle of the month, middle of the summer. Hope you're all doing well. You can text us on the Cypress Point promoted text line at 601-918-8409, 601-918-8409. Let's dive deep and let's dive into it today. We're going to be talking about everything, almost. And the people that listen to this show, I thank you very much, always and every time. You always show up. But if you do, you know we talk about everything, and you probably know what the almost is we don't talk about. We keep it clean as possible here. We broadcast live on 104.3 FM, The Pirate, out of Pearl, Mississippi, which is also syndicated to all the radio apps such as TuneIn and etc. We also broadcast on YouTube live right now at Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. And then we're on Facebook live right now on different groups and at Daryl Arnold MS and at Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. And then after that, all the podcasts are up on all your podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon, so many more. It's a whole list of them. And then if you want to bypass all that, you can just go to DarylArnold.us. That's DarylArnold.us, 2 R's, 2 L's, and Daryl. And it will take you, and you can choose. That's right, choose your platform. There's a whole list of them there for you. So it is middle of the week. Is there anything going on in the country? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is there anything going on in the state of Mississippi where we broadcast from? Of course there is. There's always things going on, good things, bad things, great things, and horrible things. And we're going to touch on a few of those today. Let's get this shared. If you see this feed on social media, go ahead and click that share button, please. We always, in fact, appreciate it every single time. Every single time. I already see people shouting out, good morning to you. We're going to get to the chat part of the show and go ahead and jump in that as well and start shouting out to people as well. And if you're awake this early, good morning. So yesterday, the House, United States House, did in fact pass the Sunshine Protection Act, which means there will be no change in the clocks every year. Now, there are certain, I believe there are people that can opt out of that because there are some states where if they don't change the time, it won't get daylight until after freaking 9 a.m. in the morning. That's crazy, but it's true. I think Hawaii's one of them. But they did pass that. There was some other things inside of that bill, in that legislative bill. This passed the House, not the Senate, but it did move on to the Senate. They've been talking about this for years. I know you say, well, there's a lot more important things going on than that. It is. It really is. But people for decades have complained about wanting to keep it where it is now, which is daylight savings times, which it gets dark later, which I'm fine with that. I think they should have done it years ago. I think it's kind of a stupid deal. However, like I said, some states, some areas, especially of some states, where it won't get daylight till 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. Now that is crazy. That is very crazy. I don't know that I would be able to handle that if I lived there, but for where we live in Mississippi, it's really going to kind of stay where it is right now. Basically. Okay, basically. So that passed the United States House yesterday. Now we'll move on to the United States Senate. But there's some other things in that bill, so which we will talk about. We absolutely will. Let's see, we've got one shout out so far. Good morning to the true patriot, Joe Davidson, keeping America great. That's correct, Joe. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning to Stephen SRS. Good morning to Nikki. How are you? And many more are tuning in and dropping in now and dropping your names. I like it. Since we performed this episode on Restream, it is streamed to different platforms. Lots of people I don't even know, but I do appreciate them listening and watching on Facebook and etc. Really, more than you know. So, the headlines today, we're going to go over them, and then we're going to dive deep into a couple of things that we need to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. You know how we do it around here, okay? You know how we do it around here. We try to do it real, unleashed, uninhibited, and unapologetic, but at the same time, real. Absolutely real. Yeah, we're going to talk about some things that really tick me off and some things that are just happening regardless. Again, the Middle East is absolutely dominating the headlines again in the United States of America with Iran and exchange and military strikes. Lawmakers are back at the Capitol right now for a special session in Mississippi. We'll talk about that. The opioid settlement spending under scrutiny. Questions continue in how Mississippi, good little Mississippi, and cities and counties are using the opioid settlement funds. But the reports out there are very limited to public transparency. I don't know if a lot of y'all even know that. For a portion of that money. For a portion of that money. Also, Governor Tate Reeves of Mississippi is calling a special a special legislative session today to address the state and business. We'll talk about that a little bit. But this data center stuff is taking over the headlines across the country, including Mississippi. These big data centers. So if you have opinions on those, please contact me Text me, jump in the chat, 601-918-8409. Some national headlines that are blowing up right now that the U.S.-Iran conflict intensifies, of course, again. United States has launched additional strikes on the Iranian military because they keep doing it, y'all. They keep starting that, you know what? Iranian military targets again after President Trump warned of further action in Iran if they do not agree, which they never do, to stand up for the agreements. So we're going to hear some sound clips from Trump himself explaining what's going on. The Supreme Court security is in the news right now. Security, which, you know, I'm not alleging anything about Amy Coney Barrett. She's absolutely not one of my favorites. And I truly believe that she is scared. And it may even be to the point of scared to where it may be allegedly making her decisions go a little bit the other way. Now, I can't prove that. And I'm not saying that's true, but it definitely seems that way after she went on media, regular national media, and made a appearance before Congress seeking increased funding and explained the rising threats against her family. Now, maybe she's scared, maybe she's not, but it sure seemed that way. Give me your thoughts on that, please. I'm sure David Hall and somebody will chime in on the Supreme Court stuff. So again, 6:42 in the morning a.m. Central Time. Keep in mind, I didn't say Central Daylight Time this time because it may be staying the way it is. We're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen. They've been discussing voting for this for decades. So hopefully, once and for all, it is what it is. And it will stay where it is now. Everybody has different opinions on that, but everybody I talk to, I guess 99%, I would say 99% of them want it to stay where it is right now. So we'll see, right? We'll see. We shall see. All right, let's move on. We've been discussing kind of the headlines and kind of laying an outline of what's going on. The whole Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, they've been beating up on this chick for 2 years now. They've been targeting this chick for 2 years or longer now. I know some people out there are screaming race, etc., so on and so on. But I tend to kind of agree with Riley Gaines, who was on a recent sound clip about this. A lot of it is incredibly stupid jealousy. It really is. We have got to keep women in sports safe, you guys, whether it be a man playing in women's sports, which that shouldn't be happening at all, but unfortunately it still is some places, or whether it be a real woman like Caitlin Clark playing on another level, and everybody from every other particular team that they play, they go after this person like you've never seen. This is something that's not talked about enough in the news. Of course it's not.
They consider that the one reason that we care about Caitlin Clark and her safety isn't because she's white, isn't because she's straight, but it's because She's good at basketball.
Yeah.
Because she's a generational talent who has revolutionized not just the sport of women's basketball, but women's sports as a whole. What she's done. Have they considered that? No, I don't think so. And I hadn't yet seen that video of Kamala Harris speaking to those players, but was there any outrage like there was when Kash Patel was in the men's locker room after the Olympic team won a gold medal at the Olympics? No, I don't think so.
Wow.
So here's what I'll say about Caitlin Clark. It goes without saying she is the golden goose of the WNBA. Is it because, do they hate her because she's white? Maybe. Do they hate her because she's straight? Maybe. Again, I think it is rooted in jealousy. I think she was the queen of the WNBA before she ever stepped foot on a WNBA court, and they hate her for it. And the WNBA as a league, last thing, I have not seen a league or an organization that is more dedicated to self-imploding than the WNBA, but I don't think they have to necessarily worry about their marketing or their ratings because they subsidize from the NBA.
Yep, they don't have to worry about their ratings because they're in the tank. They are in the tank. All I know is Clark is a GOAT. She's the GOAT of the WNBA. I don't watch the WNBA, but it is true. It's she's a great player, in my opinion. There's a lot of people hating on her, though. I mean, there's a lot of people. So whatever. That type of jealousy, that type of hatred is the problem that's going on in the country right now. That's why I even brought up the story. I don't watch the freaking WNBA. And to be honest, I never have watched it. I don't watch the NBA either. So there you go. But drama, jealous drama fuels so much, not only in life, in politics, and the news, and the media, but period, in every part of your life. Jealousy and drama. I come from the music business. I still, to this day, that know grown men and women would still have jealousy and drama. Why? You are wasting so much effort, breath, time on dumb stuff that's not going to matter later in life. Sometimes it's not even going to matter the next day. But I can guarantee you it's not going to matter 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or when you're passing away. Okay? It's just not. It takes a lot of people a long time to learn that, and some people never learn it. But that is, in fact, the absolute 100% truth. It's just the truth. It's nothing new. I'm definitely not making it up. That's for sure. But in fact, it's the way it's been for as long as the human species have been around. People get jealous. People get obsessed. People get overzealous. People get jealous to the point to where they do horrible acts unheard of. And a lot of the, quote, psychopaths come from a jealous background and end up being so jealous, so obsessed, that they lose whatever mind they had. Yeah, it's just not worth it, y'all. David Hall said, Caitlin has a target on her back. The very reasons why are listed in the interviews and the first statements. She doesn't fit society as deemed acceptable in that particular arena. That's true. Good morning to Pat Phillips in the house. You ever want to, or have you ever known somebody, I bet most of y'all haven't, that has literally been in the automotive business their entire life, and you want the best deals, you call Pat Phillips over at Bob Boyd. Because I guarantee you, he will work with anybody with any background and get you riding. That's important nowadays. It's very important. John Fetterman, the only Democrat left in the entire United States, in politics, rather. The only one. The only one. Isn't that crazy? There is one person that votes with the Republicans or the conservatives or the independents. And that's John Fetterman. He was asked point blank, not beating around the bush, but he was asked point blank, what do you think is wrong with the Democrat Party? He went on to say we don't have a party, but let's just get the first one out of the way. He was asked, what do you think is wrong with the Democrat Party right now?
Democratic Party today.
Oh, we don't have one. I think the TDS, I think that's the leader right now. You know, right now our party is governed by the TDS, and now it's made it virtually impossible without being punished as a Democrat to agree something's good or I agree with the other side. And I would define that by epic fury. I am literally the only Democrat in America in Congress that I've come across that's saying, I think it's a great thing to break and destroy the Iranian regime. I think it's entirely appropriate to hold them accountable. And what's strange to me that every single Democrat that's run for president and anyone that I know in Congress says we must never allow them to acquire a nuclear bomb. When that happens, why not celebrate that or acknowledge that?
And you know what? It's not just that, but that's one big example. That's one big example, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have moved into the DSA with over 250. Get that number in your head. 250 people. The Democrat Socialist of America. They have a platform. It's sickening. They have 250 candidates running right now. They have 30 to 45 that have already won or winning their primaries. Okay? The Democrat Socialists of America. Daryl, you're talking about that again because you, please, dear God, you don't understand a socialist, communist America. And I haven't lived through it either, but I read history. Okay? I read history. The DSA has captured the entire Democrat Party, and commanding them is what they're doing to replace capitalism with socialism, communism. And it's driven by the media. The media is ridiculously pushing this as well. Okay? Ridiculously pushing this as well. The rise of the Democrat Socialist of America Party and the whole platform is out there, y'all. These are people running in large cities now. It started in little congressional districts, little small congressional districts. But it is being driven by media. It's ridiculous for C-SPAN, CNN, to give these people with no common sense and push this.
Who live in this country.
So would you like to abolish the Senate?
That's part of our platform, and we don't think that's extreme. We think it's a change that would help make this country more democratic.
Let's go ahead and abolish the Senate. And, you know, the cops, and obviously they want to abolish the president and bring in a, quote, I don't know. They want to get rid of the president, though, and let the House members and have a, quote, government boss leader to sit and deal with the House, but get rid of the Senate and let that person, whether it be a man or a woman, decide on what the House decides on. A mediator per se, but no president. This has gotten ridiculous. And I'm pissed off that so many young people are getting screwed over and not even realizing it. Falling for this. Falling for, oh, I want free health care. Who's going to pay for it? It has never, ever, 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 ever worked in any other country. And some countries have tried it a lot. Some countries have tried it a lot, y'all. That's just the truth. I'm not making it up. Not making it up at all. It's, I don't know. But the rise is on the rise. And yes, in fact, it is extremely scary. And the only thing that we can do as American people is stand together, stand strong, and of course, vote like our life depends on it, because our way of life does depend on it. I think that's what a lot of people forget when they say, I'm not going to go vote because my life doesn't depend on it. But your way of life does, in fact, depend on it. Your way of life definitely depends on it. We'll be right back.
Support for these programs comes from Electrical Solutions and Services in Pearl, Mississippi, providing licensed electrical contracting services throughout Mississippi for commercial, industrial, and residential projects. Also installations, system upgrades, troubleshooting, and emergency electrical repairs. As certified installers for Tesla, charging systems, and a certified dealer for Generac backup power solutions, their team delivers safe, code-compliant workmanship with a commitment to precision and integrity. They are veteran-owned. Their phone number is 769-572-7597.
Power 104.3 FM.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
The Pirate.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Visit msema.org and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Every program in the Next ecosystem is designed to meet people where they are and take them where they want to go, in technology and in life. Mississippi Coding Academies is a nonprofit that bridges the digital divide, delivering accessible, affordable, and life-changing technology education across the globe. Funded by grants and donations that are truly making an impact at home and abroad. Learn coding, cybersecurity, and so much more with locations around the state of Mississippi. Go to mscoding.org today and go to your next level.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Oh, yeah, top of the hour on a Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. We were talking about, you say, well, it doesn't affect me, but it affects everything around you and your children and your grandchildren, your friends, your family members. So that's why it's so important to keep the socialist agenda, which is no more than another way of saying communists. Don't let them fool you, because they will. They're snakes. They are snakes. Snake oil salesman to the max. This dude, Abdul Assayed, that we just heard from, is currently running as a Democrat for the United States Senate. For a seat, y'all, for the United States Senate in Michigan. He wants to abolish ICE immediately. He believes we should disarm the police. Yeah, right. Good luck with this clown in Michigan, y'all. Okay? But here's the sad part. People are going to vote for this guy. People are going to vote. We are at the tipping point, America. Wake up, realize it now. This is not fear. This is not hectic. This is not paranoid. This is real.
Do police really need to use guns? Do we need as much of a police force? And so if we ask ourselves about how we spend money in the public, where that money goes, where it comes from, we need to make a lot better decisions about investing in the things that root out poverty rather than investing in policing poverty. And we need to understand that these are racialized questions because of systemic racism. When we make a choice to invest in policing in a majority Black community rather than to invest in public schools, that choice is influenced by systemic racism. And so we need to take that on, we need to root it out, and we need to be investing in people in the communities in which they live, learn, work, pray, and play, rather than be investing in policing them in those communities. And when we talk about the question of quote unquote defunding the police, it's a question of asking, how do we right-size government away from the racist ideologies that have led us to investing in war material for policing?
All of these people always have the same talking points. And their talking points, in my opinion, are 100% garbage. 100% garbage. This is a total void, ladies and gentlemen. This is a total void of common sense. Someone needs to tell him systematic racism. He listened to Obama until he was literally brainwashed. This is a comment. It's all that mindset. Yes, you're right, Chris. Thank you. Disarm, y'all. Let's talk about that for a minute. Disarm and defund and abolish the police? Come on. What's to stop people from defending themselves? They don't have an answer to that. What, some counseling? I don't think so. Come down to Jackson, Mississippi. See where the counseling gets you. Head over to Chicago, Memphis, Detroit. Hell, any city. Oh, law. I mean, I can't. It's laughable, but it's people are falling for it. That's why it's insane to me. And with the way things are going right now, I would not be surprised if people like this gentleman, because it's already happening over 40 times, people like him are getting elected. Getting elected. The Lunatic Fringe. There was a song called Lunatic Fringe back in the day. That's where we are. Disarm, of course, criminals want to disarm the police. I don't know why anybody else would be unless they're a criminal. Okay? Why else would you want to disarm the police unless you're a criminal? And the bad news is this. He's leading. Are you ready for this? He's leading a conservative Democrat in the primary polls. People actually are believing and buying into disarming the police. We have got to do everything that we can possibly do to fight back without being violent to all the nonsense, the low IQ idiots, the clown show. He also, of course, wants Medicare, medical for all, but his wife is in the medical profession. And will take cash only, no insurance. These people are so two-faced hypocrites. Hypocrites. You know, anytime they bring up that same old speech, I can pick it out like nothing else. He is, but he's a quote dual citizen, by the way, a quote dual citizen. Dual with Egypt. So that's where we are, people like that, y'all. And that's unfortunately where we are in this country, not just Michigan. Happening today up in D.C. on the Hill, President Trump's Attorney General pick, Todd Blanche, is set to face off with the Senate Judiciary Committee for a very tense confirmation hearing. Of course, all the Democrats will be wetting the bed, wetting their pants, wearing double panties, freaking out. Part of Trump's challenge in this is getting Blanche confirmed comes with the quote, Republican senators like Tom Tillis, which I don't know why we still have them, and a few more. Republicans, get the hell out. Get out. But anyway, that's what's going to be happening today. We got a live soundbite just a couple of minutes ago from Josh Hawley talking about Todd Blanche today. That's going to be on the Hill in the chair.
From Blanche tomorrow during his confirmation.
Oh gosh. Well, his priorities for the department, we can't go back to the days of parents at school board meetings having the Justice Department anti-terrorism unit activated against them.
Controversial cases where he was representing the president personally as well as in office, and real questions as to whether or not he went too far.
And the biggest one there, of course, for Democrats would be the handling of the Epstein files. The president says Todd Blanche is doing a phenomenal job as acting attorney general of the United States under Todd's incredible leadership at DOJ. Murder is down to the lowest level since 1900, and we just saw the biggest one-year drop in recorded history. Violent crime arrests are up 100%. Robberies, carjackings, and assaults are all crashing. More than 500 million deadly doses of drugs have already been seized, saving countless innocent lives. Part of President Trump's issue today with getting Blanche through might be Republicans, including Tom Tillis and John Cornyn, who are on their way out anyways, so they might not have much to lose if they don't back Blanche. According to Politico today, both of those men could vote Blanche down if he cannot assure them that the so-called weaponization fund to pay out people with taxpayer money who think they have been wronged by the federal government is dead.
Yeah, of course they're on their way out because they got primaried the hell out, but they're stuck there till November. Or let me rephrase that. We're stuck with those two rhinos until then. We are, the American people. And they're out anyway, but they're going to screw up this. Of course they will. Why would we think any different? The uniparty rhinos. Of course. 7:12 in the morning right now. Wednesday, July 15th. My name is Daryl Arnold. The show is Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy today with that whole Todd Blanche thing. They're going to go after him just like they always do. Anybody with any common sense, they're going to barbecue them. This has been going on for decades. This is the way they handle everything. This is the way they handle everything. But today's hearing should, as all of them should, but they don't, focus on someone's actual qualifications. Independence and the rule of law, and not freaking political theater. We are sick, we are tired, we're grossed out, and we're ready to throw up over political theater. The Senate owes the public a review without the theater. That's what they owe us. You know? Got a text message from Copper Road that says Democrats will empty out of the clown car and conduct themselves as psychopaths today. Yes, they probably will. You know why? Because that's what they always do. That's what they always do. And this completely needless, because it is needless because they're out in November, the needless posturing by the two bitter rhinos is ridiculous. Okay, just go. Just go. Tillis and Corn, you're done anyway. Politics, policy, and persuasion all collide in these confirmation hearings. That's what happens. But the theater is what we're tired of. This is what all of these things turn into, is day or days long political theater that does nothing. Nothing. It's just people trying to one up the other person. Like kindergarten. It's like kindergarten at this point. CENTCOM, says that the United States forces have launched another round of strikes against Iran, marking the first daytime strike that we've seen since the ceasefire took effect. This is a brand new dropping report on Wednesday morning, July 15th. Indication that indeed these strikes are escalating. President Trump tells Fox News to expect a variety of strikes to take place this week, warning they will escalate even further next week. So there you go. There you go. So over the last couple of days, there's been all this crazy stuff about ICE, you know, maybe an ICE shooting and the ICE shootings and the doomers and the Marxists who want to destroy America and they hate ICE. They dox these people. They threaten these people every day. And then ICE shootings get investigated. Of course they do. And the radical left Democrats would like to see this done, which is stop, take away, let's rephrase that, take away ICE being able to pull over people. Well, they were actually considering that. That was actually happening even 2 hours ago. But President Trump said the ICE traffic stops will be reinstated after DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen suspended them due to some recent shootings. Trump went on to say, quote, "We cannot give up one of ICE's most important effective crime-fighting tools." I agree. The traffic stop. Once we do that, we're playing right into the criminals' hands. The radical left Democrats would like to see this done, but it won't happen on my watch. ICE is fair and smart, and go back to doing your very important job. Keep those crime stat records coming. Remember, you're loved and respected by real Americans, which is true. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Yeah. Well, good. Detain them and deport them. That was the promise, you guys. That was the promise that we voted for. That was the promise that we voted for. Queen Bee sent me a text and said, "Which important job is that? Harassing and killing people on the streets? That's not happening. You live in a fantasy world. You live in a fantasy world. They're doing their freaking job. Grow up. They're doing their job. If one of them was breaking in your home to rape you or steal from you or stab you or even worse, you wouldn't be complaining about ICE showing up. You know, it's funny how that works. You wouldn't be complaining at all. You would be welcoming ICE. Y'all, please come in and help me. Of course you would. Of course you would. So don't get up in my inbox with that trash unless you can back it up with facts. They're not going around shooting people. Okay? We're talking about criminals that they're dealing with too, by the way. We're talking about criminals they're dealing with right now, by the way. Understand that, please, as we take this next break. Let that sink in.
Don't forget to check out Cypress Point Resort. Memories are made at Cypress Point. Close to home, yet it feels miles away. At Cypress Point, you can truly get away from it all. You can step back to a simpler time, yet enjoy all the amenities of today. Cameron's Garage is a sports bar and music venue. There's a lunch buffet every day inside Cypress Point. They also have a steakhouse, and The Tavern. The Tavern is a quaint little place with live music Wednesday through Saturday. And of course, you've got the safari park and petting zoo. Don't forget about all the event halls, including the wedding chapel and so much more. That's Cypress Point Resort, located at 874 Hollybush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Contact them at 601-829-1101 or at cypresspointms.com.
If you or a loved one need reliable medical equipment, trust a name Mississippi has depended on for over 20 years. Mobility Medical, located right in Flowood, is your local family-owned source for mobility and home healthcare solutions. From power wheelchairs and scooters to lift chairs that help you relax in comfort, they've got everything you need to stay independent and live better every day. Need help at home? Mobility Medical offers hospital beds, tables, and essential supplies, and more. What sets them apart? It's their personalized service. Their experienced team works one-on-one with you to find the right equipment. Serving all of Mississippi and beyond with in-store support and delivery options available. Mobility Medical, helping you move better, live better, and stay independent. Visit them today in Flowood or call to learn more.
The Mississippi Reunion Concert. Everyone has waited on, and we have it at Cameron's Garage. August 7th, Crossin-Dixon. This is the concert of the decades not to miss. Join us at Cameron's Garage for an evening of music. The Stevens Brothers Band will kick off the night at 5:30 p.m., followed by Crossin-Dixon at 8 p.m. Purchase your tickets in advance for $15 or at the door for $20 at cypresspointms.com. This will sell out. We cannot wait to see you there.
I've got Southern comfort running through my veins.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Welcome back, 7:22 a.m. Central Time. As you may have heard, the Sunshine Protection Act did make it through the House. It will be sent over to the Senate. We'll see what happens. Okay, they did put some other things in that bill. They slipped it in. Of course, mainstream media is not talking about it, but I'll just tell you to look into it. Look into it. And we were just talking about the ICE traffic stops are back on the menu, boys and girls. Back on the menu. Back on the menu. Doomers. Let's talk about some doomers out there. DOOMERS. If it isn't apparent yet, ladies and gentlemen, the socialists and Marxists who want to absolutely freaking destroy America are targeting data centers to ensure that the United States loses the AI race against China. You may have your feelings on data centers. So do I. But at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year, we cannot let China get ahead of us on this. So the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt they spread is entirely dangerous lies.
It's data centers. We cannot trust these big tech companies, and we have to regulate data centers.
I've been fighting a data center against an awful company named TeraWolf.
That data centers, they are like the bloodline for AI. These hybrid data skills centers have been connected to the genocides we're seeing abroad.
We need to rip this infrastructure out and crush it.
As an Indigenous environmental justice organization dedicated to defending and protecting Mother Earth, we do not endorse the use of AI in any capacity.
And data centers, they're the backbone of this technology and of this industry, and they provide a real space in places for people to meet and to try to push back on the billionaire agenda.
We need a moratorium. This is the line. This is the socialist perspective, and it's been great seeing AOC and Bernie and others take up that charge at the federal level.
But for us, a lot of times, because where the innovation comes from, it's ultimately coming from white males, right, in that industry. And so inherently, a lot of this has bias built into it.
TEP was one of like the main villains. You know, they were sitting there right next to the developers, trying to give so much energy to this data center. So our public power fight kind of merged with the data center fight.
All of this land is stolen by colonizers. This is all indigenous land, but for the purposes of organizing.
Look, I understand you can be against data centers, but this whole stolen land crap and this whole socialist BS is BS. It really is. Are there problems? Yes, there are. I mean, really. David Hall just texted me saying, hey, did you see where the Jackson City Council right here in Jackson, Mississippi voted to put a moratorium on data centers? Yes, I did. I wouldn't have expected anything different. These people have so much hatred for, quote, Elon Musk or anyone like Elon Musk who have worked for their money. They'll do anything to stop it. Let's hate the billionaires. Let's hate the people who worked 80 hours a week or their family that worked 100 hours a week. No, we don't want any of that. But anyway, that whole data center thing, I'm not saying I agree with all of it. And yes, there are some questions that need to be asked regarding power, water. And I think the best way to handle that is a memorandum of understanding where we force the people that are putting the data centers in, where we force them to give us a understanding in writing of exactly what they're going to do, exactly how it's going to work, and all that stuff. So, yes, I can understand people freaking out that don't have information, okay? Because we're getting a lot for a state this size. We're getting a lot of data centers, okay? A really whole lot of data centers. So, yes, of course it needs to be looked into. And over the last couple of days, Andy Gibson, who's the agriculture commissioner, but he is, of course, running for governor for 27, which is coming up soon. He wrote and we're going to try and get Andy on the show, Andy Gibson, real soon. But he wrote and issued the memorandum, which will basically, it will require like basic facts of all this to be presented by not us or not the government officials, but by the data centers at least 30 days before they can get any MDEQ permit, hearing, or vote. Now, that makes sense to me. Okay, that makes common sense. Andy Gibson's definitely one with common sense. Okay. We know that everybody doesn't have common sense anymore. And that's going around, unfortunately. But Andy Gibson does have common sense. Let's listen to what he just drafted. And again, like I said, he will be running for, or is running for governor. If we can get this soundbite to play here.
Gibson, Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, also a statutory board member of the MDEQ Permit Board. Today, I put this memorandum in the minutes of the board, which will require for any data center or data center related project some basic facts. And the old phrase, just the facts, ma'am, is all we want. And I'm asking data centers to provide water impacts, including source of water, use of water, water discharge, the type of system they're using, energy and electrical grid impacts, and whether either of those are going to affect ratepayers, air quality, heat impacts, and financial information that every company should be willing and ready to provide. This is information that I believe I'm going to need, that our members on the board are going to need to make their decisions. And it's definitely information that you, the people, want to have. So be looking for that. Be aware of that. I want you to know I'm looking out for the people of Mississippi. You elected me to do a job. I'm doing my job, and I'm going to continue doing it, looking out for you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America, and may God bless Mississippi.
Just a great guy, man. And Andy Gibson's just such a great guy, such a good person. But why wouldn't that be fair, what he said? You know, why wouldn't that be fair? Someone said, what about the noise and the land grabs associated with data centers? You know, all this land grab talk has only come up in the last 5 years. I'm not saying it's not important to look into that, but I don't think that this is a land grab thing. I don't. I think this is an opportunity for Mississippi if handled correctly. If handled correctly. Of course, someone else had to come in and say being MAGA isn't just about being stupid. It's about showing the world that you're proud to be stupid. Shut up. This doesn't have anything to do with MAGA. Go away. Go away. And someone else said, hey, Andy, which I know this person, don't start going against data centers like the Democrats are. But see, the Democrats are going against it because they're going against anything that, quote, rich people or, quote, Elon Musk or anyone remotely like Elon Musk is involved with. Just the truth. Just the same thing as, but of course it should be investigated. And of course they should have a memorandum of understanding like Andy Gibson has proposed. I think that's fine. Actually, I think that's great. Nothing at all wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with him doing that. He's the ag commissioner, which they are also the commissioner of more than a lot of people think it's just some horses down at the Coliseum and all that, and the fair and the agriculture. No, it's commerce. Commerce. Okay? They're head of the commerce. And holy smokes. President Trump also said next week he's going to be knocking out the power plants and the bridges if Iran does not actually do something, and do something now. It's absolutely actually happening. I knew it would get to this point because these people are not going to negotiate. And be honest about it, they're not.
Next week it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
People see different. And even if they get to the table and negotiate, are they really going to negotiate? Are they? Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. The leaders of the bloodthirsty regime in Iran and in Tehran, they don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care at all. Listen to this one. When they had the big funeral over there for their former leader, they paid over 400 American influencers to show up over there at that funeral and make it look like people actually like that guy, their former leader. That's what's really going on. Okay? And the 400 American, quote, creators, digital creators, any of that other slop word you want to use, that took that money and did that, shame on you. You're a freaking traitor. Okay, you are a traitor. Trump is done doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results. That's failure, and that's also insanity. So he's done with it. And I know what all the Democrats are going to do. I know what all the progressives are going to do. That's war crimes. Oh, no. But it's not war crimes to y'all when they're blowing us up. You sick people. You're sick people. Sick people. Socialism. Socialist. Communist. You use your citizens' money to kill your citizens. That's stage 2 of communism, by the way. That is stage 2 of communism. Is that what y'all want? President Trump is doing a huge address tomorrow night on Thursday, July 16th. He is inviting everybody to watch as he addresses to the nation. Surely he's going to be talking about some election interference and some election laws that were broken in 2020 and in 2024 and in many other. Everybody's thinking that's what it's about, but I doubt that's just the only thing it's about. But that is what it's about. We've been hearing for so long that, when Trump became president, and Biden for that matter, that all the gold in Fort Knox was missing, or part of it was missing, or they couldn't find it, so on, and so on. Well, the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, confirmed that all, ALL, of the Fort Knox gold is present and accounted for. The United States has the largest pile of gold in the world, over 1 trillion in just gold. So yeah, it's all there, y'all. So if you were thinking about giving up on gold, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that in the current state of this country. I won't tell anybody what to do, but I would not give up on it. Not at all.
Would want everybody to be equal and poor, than have everybody be much better off, but some people be a little better off or a lot better off. So they're not thinking of the average people. This is not a bottom-up phenomenon, Sean. It's a top-down. It's a people who are very, very upper middle class. Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. The Mondami family came from the 1% in Uganda that controlled 60% of the GDP. He's a child of privilege. AOC was upper middle class. I don't know how Ilhan Omar filed her financial disclosure, but she claimed she was worth $30 million. So all of these people, it's predicated on the idea that the rest of the country are lab rats and they are exempt from the consequences of their own ideology. And we know that because they like privilege and they're accustomed to privilege. So for them, it's a game.
How many people?
A total game for them. A total game. Screw you, but it can't happen to me. Okay. Again, those are the usual suspects. The Democrat Socialist of America is what they're calling the new platform. You can Google it. There is an entire website and a platform. It's called Democrat Socialists of America. That is where they're headed. They have taken over the moderate Democrat Party, kicked them to the curb. They even call Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries moderates. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, they call them moderates. Wow, do we have a big lineup going on this week at Cypress Point Resort and Cameron's Garage, from food to beverages to live music to safari to lodging to just ladies' night tonight on Wednesday, Hump Day, July 15th. Music from Josh Journey tonight. It is ladies' night. We'll talk about all that. We'll talk about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and of course, on Sunday is the big Beers and Gears monthly car show and ride-in. You don't want to miss the Beers and Gears. Always a bunch of cars, from hot rods to classics to just incredibly cool stuff. We're going to discuss that and much more. We're Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold, and that's Unleashed Media, the and sign. Talk with Daryl Arnold. We'll be right back.
Don't forget to check out Cypress Point Resort. Memories are made at Cypress Point. Close to home, yet it feels miles away. At Cypress Point, you can truly get away from it all. You can step back to a simpler time, yet enjoy all the amenities of today. Cameron's Garage is a sports bar and music venue. There's a lunch buffet every day inside Cypress Point. They also have a steakhouse and the tavern. The tavern is a quaint little place with live music Wednesday through Saturday. And of course, you've got the safari park and petting zoo. Don't forget about all the event halls, including the wedding chapel and so much more. That's Cypress Point Resort, located at 874 Hollybush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Contact them at 601-829-1101 or at cypresspointms.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Oh, yeah, 7:43, Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. We're talking about the lineup before we went to break at Cypress Point Resort this week. That's cypresspointms.com and at cypresspointms. Facebook, also Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. But yes, it is crazy. Okay. First of all, let's run over the lineup. Today's Wednesday. Let's talk about the live music and events this week. Josh Journey in Cameron's Garage tonight. Live music with Ladies Night and big time specials. Check all that out online. Thursday night, which is bike night, the traditional Thursday night bike night with chances for big giveaways, all that good stuff. Ride in, check it out. Bradley Parker, Chris Sanders with music on bike night tomorrow. Friday night, it is South of 20. You don't want to miss this. That's the band at Cameron's Garage. Saturday night, the Cody Harvey Band from Nashville to Mississippi to Cameron's Garage. The Cody Harvey Band, Saturday night, moving over to the Tavern. Thursday night, Cody Dunaway, the Brookhaven boy himself. Friday night is Trey Gallman. If you haven't seen this guy, it's incredible. We'll have weekend specials in the Tavern as well. And then Saturday night, the incredible Lucas Thomas, this young fellow from the Carthage area, incredible. And Sunday is the big Beers and Gears, like I said. So that will be Lariat, the trio acoustic, performing at Beers and Gears also. So as we wrap up that rundown, what are you doing? Spend your days, your evenings, Rankin County, the general store, the bakery, the lodge, the safari, the blue plate specials, steakhouse, the tavern, the Cameron's Garage Sports Bar / live music venue and events hall, the event hall out back, the church, everything is happening at cypresspointms.com on Holly Bush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Do it. Do it. The reality is that most of us were lied to by the media, of course, really for our whole lives, but especially about President Trump. And if you just go back to the source material, you should take away a few things. This is one of the largest and richest men in this country. This is actually on CNBC, which is NBC, horrible mainstream. This guy was the biggest Democrat in the entire world. Okay, was. But then he realized that the media made up all this about Trump. The media made Trump the boogeyman. The media made the conservatives a boogeyman. And then the media started making him a boogeyman only because he worked his ass off and has money.
The reality is that most of us were lied to by the media about President Trump. And if you just go back to the source material, you should take away two things. One, he didn't say half the things he said. And two, why did these other people just fabricate what they wanted to say so that they could essentially assassinate his character? I think that that second thing is completely unacceptable in America. And there's still been no repercussions, really. I took the time to learn about it. I admitted where, the way that I met him was I admitted on the pod, which, has millions of viewers. And I said, I got it totally wrong. Because I went and I watched Charlottesville. And the first person to call me?
Who was it?
President Trump. And I got to know him. And I put the phone down. I called my wife and I said, we got it totally, totally wrong. We were lied to. And then I got to know him. And he is fantastic.
Yep, they lied all right. But they lie about everything. It's nothing new. Nothing new at all. And the next generation is being taught to see America as the problem. That's why this is generational, what is happening right now with the socialism and the communism. The generation is being taught to see America is not the solution anymore. American dream is not the solution anymore. That America is the problem now. So here's a warning to y'all. Modern education. Beware. Beware. Young people need to, and this is my opinion, you can agree or not agree, that's okay, need to rediscover personal responsibility. And they need to be instilled with positive stuff, believing that they can help build a better future instead of America being the problem. Okay, that's my thought on it. Because America is not the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Them preaching the boogeyman and the 400 mosques that are opening up constantly across America, operating in 42 United States right now, making it seem like America is the problem. Okay, that's what's happening. That's a generational problem, y'all. It is. And meanwhile, up in Minnesota, after they busted them for billions and billions and billions of dollars and all the fraud, all the Somali crime, meanwhile, up there, they're still pushing the Somalian and how bad America is. Just leave. Please, we've said that so many times. I mean, really, so many times. The widow of Corey Compataro, who was killed at Butler, Pennsylvania on the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, shared some words in an interview because a couple of days ago, it was the 2-year anniversary since that happened. She wants some closure. I don't blame her. She wants some closure. She was interviewed on News Nation on the 2-year anniversary a couple of days ago.
Crooks himself remains shrouded in mystery. Authorities still haven't publicly identified a motive for his attempted assassination of President Trump.
You've expressed belief that the gunman, Thomas Crooks, didn't act alone.
I don't believe there was another shooter there, but I believe that he was working with somebody. I believe it was an inside job inside the government somewhere.
And this was political?
Oh, yeah.
Political.
Absolutely. Yep.
Have you seen evidence to that?
Oh, I've been told things, but I've had something that happened with me that just afterwards, and you're starting to put the pieces together, it just made total sense.
What will help give you closure?
When the people who put this all together that day are caught and it comes out.
So if you had a message for President Trump, what would it be?
Just to don't forget us and remember what we went through that day. You know, we're still here and we need answers.
Helen Comparator says it was a year before the Secret Service actually reached out to her. The questions that she did ask, she says they didn't answer them fully, and she's now pleading, reaching out to President Trump, hoping that he will intervene, apply pressure, so she can get answers as to what happened here.
What do you think happened? Well, screwery happened. That's not necessarily President Trump's fault, but he does need to look at this, okay? Because it's heartbreaking. The initial shock, here 1 minute, gone the next, unimaginable. So it's significant, though, for this lady to get closure. It's very significant. It's significant for the Trump administration to get more involved in this, too, as well. Really and truly it is. Trump's first presidential speech, if you want to do a way back Wednesday, and it was his roast on March 15, 2011. They all laughed, but little did they know, because this was back when Obama was still president. But little did they know that this guy would actually become president. That's why they had such a problem with it, because he knew all their dirty little secrets, and he was already calling them out in 2011.
What a great honor it must be for you to honor me tonight. Especially here, where I've made my name and fortune, New York City. Great place. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mr. Trump, sir, why would you ever do this roast? Honestly, it was worth it because it's all going to charity, and they paid a lot, believe me. But the truth is, I specifically handpicked these recession-era, basic cable, nobodies, so that the city I love, the city that never sleeps, could finally get a well-deserved nap. Right. They're all losers, and I love associating with losers because it makes me feel better about myself and makes them feel better about me. Winning.
Little did they know that only a couple of years, 2-3 years later, he would be coming down the escalator and they would get sick in the head and twisted with a disease called Trump derangement syndrome. Only because he knew all the bad things that they had been doing for decades and decades. Only because they knew that he would come out and say it out loud in public what they had been doing. That's why, y'all. That's why. And before we go, just remember the greatest mission right now of the Islamic American religion is to destroy Christianity. Like it or don't like it. That is the truth. That's their greatest wish. Their greatest wish. Really, Daryl. Yes, really. I want to thank all of our sponsors. It is, again, Wednesday, July 15th, middle of the month, middle of the summer. Thanks again for tuning in. We do the show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 to 8 a.m. Central Time. And we'll be back on Friday for an action-packed jam up rolling into the weekend. But until then, you can also check out all episodes of the podcast at DarylArnold.us. That's DarylArnold.us for your one-stop clicks. And do it now. See ya.
Thank you all for tuning in. Hashtag unfiltered, hashtag unapologetic, America First Talk at its best. Where we party the right way. See you next time. Or